Can be hard when you grow up. People fill you with doubt. You start thinking about what you're gonna do now. And it's do or die, gotta make it count. So lose your worries, let your problems go on until my whole body burns out. I ain't never gonna slow down. I ain't never gonna slow down.
Welcome everyone, this is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about the idea and the aspect of doublethink. Doublethink is not something that I came up with. This is something that is a definition. You can look it up. It is a term that I got from the movie called Detachment. If you are a teacher and maybe you are a teacher like in a big city, Brooklyn, Chicago, and you might be dealing with a lot of kids that might be struggling. Guess what? This movie is going to be for you because you're going to see so much of how we become detached, not only as teachers, but what happens also with the students. The students are looking for connection, but yet they don't necessarily get it when they're going into schools, especially if they're not getting it at the house. Doublethink is the aspect of how we can have two contradicting thoughts in our mind, and then we accept both of them. However, you can't have conflicting ideas in your mind. Because if you do, either, you're going to be confused about what is truly going on, or you're not going to be able to make a choice when it truly matters. So I wrote a blog. It's called Doublethink, a warning in today's world, because doublethink is not only about having contradicting thoughts that we're going to be talking about in our mind, but in our world today, we see reality and delusion almost as I can be delusional because it is my current reality. And just because it is your current reality, it doesn't mean it's going to be a long sustaining thing. A lot of problems with doublethink, it has evolved and it is going to be running rampant in our world today if we don't get a hold of it. So let's take a look at my most recent blog. All right, everyone, if you're new to the podcast, the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribing, and also to share the video and or audio to help build a community of like-minded individuals. Today, we're going to be talking about doublethink. Doublethink is going to be, as I said early on, it's going to be that idea of how we can have two thoughts in our mind that contradict each other. Now, let me just kind of go in and give you some examples. The examples I have here are going to be slogans like war is peace, then you can have freedom is slavery, and then the other one is ignorance is strength. Now, the biggest one is probably the first one, right? War is peace, or war can equate to peace, or war equals peace. What I will say is, how can you be a person that says, I'm going to go to war to create peace? Most people today, I'm not going to say they're hippies, but their moral compass is typically on track. For example, what's happening in Israel and Palestine and Gaza and all that with Hamas, all of that right there. Initially, there was one attack on Israel. And then Israel's like, well, we don't like what you did. We're going to retaliate, rightfully so. Maybe an eye for an eye. But then if you think about the eye for an eye aspect, an eye for an eye is going to eventually leave everyone blind. So we get into the aspect of now, if we are going to war, the mindset of the individuals might be, the reason why I'm going to war is because I understand when the war is over, there's going to be peace. The same is true for our happiness, right? Let's say I'm going to work all my life and then I'm going to be happy, right? The destination is the goal, or the goal is the destination. Which one is it? Many people, they get lost in this aspect of looking at what's to come, but not what is forefront. People think that peace is going to be the glory, like, I can't wait for peace. It's going to be so great. But then they have to go through the hardship of war. The blood that comes on their hands cannot be washed off so easily. And it's also in our mind. We can just not relinquish the thoughts of what we have done during the war. If you look at like pictures of individuals who went to World War II, that were in World War II, and they went off to war, you can see the before and after pictures of them and how they look. They're full of life. The first picture typically, like before they went off to war. And when they come back, you can see their eyes are sunken in. They're stressed. Maybe they got sunburn, discoloration on their skin. They seem like they have some type of mental thing going on. And it's because they have went through some trauma. Similar to this, we ignore the trauma and we only look at the result at the end, the peace, right? That's going to be good. Freedom, maybe, if we reverse the roles. Maybe we look at ignorance, right? It's strength. We just look at the good part. Now, I do have one backwards for a reason. Freedom is slavery. Why is freedom slavery? Shouldn't it be slavery is freedom? Why not, strength is ignorance? Why not peace is war? We can change the words, and it doesn't matter which way we change it, it still contradicts each other. And that's the whole point. And in our world today, we contradict so much that's going on, whether it be politics, whether it be all the issues going on in the world. We contradict things. It could be relationships. We contradict everything. But yet, we just say everything is going to be good. Everything is going to be fine. And we're going to be talking about that just now. Now, I encourage everyone to read this blog because I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm just going to allow you to read it so you can get an idea of Doublethink. What I will say you'll take away from this article is that you're going to be taking away that there is a lot of contradictions in the world. There's a lot of contradictions in our mind. This article is going to help clarify what's going on and then give you some insight of how you can begin to change it. Now, having a doublethink mindset is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a thing that if you are going to be focused on certain situations, certain scenarios, if you have conflicting thoughts, you're not going to be able to pick a side. Hence, you're not going to be able to make a decision. We need to be able to make a decision at some points. You're not going to just go to a poll and you're going to say, well, I want this person and I want this person. You can only make one choice. This is not a restaurant where you can order everything on the menu. We have to have a clear choice. And right now, we do have contradicting thoughts and beliefs. And we're going to be starting all the way back in 2020. In 2020, I'm sure many people can relate to what happened. 2019 was a very scary year because it was going into 2020, the elections. A lot of people didn't know what was going on. And then, of course, the whole scare with COVID-19. A lot of people were worried about what was going on. A lot of people didn't know what to do. And a lot of people were afraid. COVID changed the way the world operated for several months, if not years. Maybe there's permanent damage that cannot be repaired and undone. We need to look at that and then begin to think of it in the sense of doublethink. One of the slogans in or during the pandemic, they say, let's get back to normal. Does anyone remember those slogans? Let's get back to normal. Well, I ask, well, what is normal? Not being afraid, right? Because a lot of people were afraid. Also, normal was not being able to leave your house, okay? Was not being able to go to the gym because everything is closed. All the businesses being closed down. That's not normal. So was getting back to normal the things that we had, the privileges that we had before? But yet, most of the people who say, let's get back to normal, were already struggling. So now what happened in their mind is that they compare the bad that they had from the pandemic to maybe the life that they had, or maybe the life that they were building to. And they say, whoa, we had it good. And many people, they don't realize how good they have it until it's too late. It could be a relationship. It could be a job, a career. It could be anything. But we give ourselves these ideas that we're going to do something and then we're going to expect something, but we can't have them both at the same time. You might say, well, it's all about having, your cake and being able to eat it. Well, in a sense, you can try. There's no harm in trying. But what I will say is, doublethink has evolved. It's not only about if you are, thinking about freedom, you have all this freedom, yet you can't speed, yet you can't, break laws and go out and hurt people. You had freedom, right? Like there's freedom for you to do it. In a sense, there's a freedom of choice, but there's consequences. It could be a doublethink. Then we get down to the idea of delusion in reality. For example, there's a lot of conversation of the LGBT movement and stuff along those lines. And you can be a part of it. You don't have to be a part of it. But I do want to talk about how it is doublethink, because it is easy to say that a man can have a baby and a woman can not have a baby or whatever, right? Anyone can have a baby now, right? This is the idea, right? How can those two conflict each other and then be the same? I have been in hearings at state buildings over, at the Capitol. What I will say is very interesting, where these politicians are asking doctors, I'm talking about doctors that went through med school, that have their certification to help people and heal people and prescribe medications, speak in front of these politicians. And one of the questions, one of the politicians, as I remember, he says to the doctor, and the doctor was a woman, "Can a man have a baby?" And the woman says, "Well, it depends." And everyone in the audience, you can even hear people in the hallway, was like, "What?" Like it was an issue. And they had some dialogue for a little bit. And then eventually the politician was like, "Isn't it scary that a doctor that is able to prescribe medication, hormone blockers, puberty blockers, whatever it was, to their patients, and you're telling a biological male that they can get pregnant?" And she was like, "Well, I disagree." And this is where the contradictions come in, because can it or can it not? In our world today, yeah, right? Everyone has the freedom, right? You can go, if you're a man, you can go to a woman's bathroom. You can be whatever you want. We have that flexibility to be delusional. Yet, in a real world situation, right, we might not have that flexibility. In a time of war, we might not have that feeling of peace. But we can think of the idea of what will come if we fight. I'm going to go to war so I can have peace. I'm going to be ignorant, or I'm going to be delusional, and I'm going to label myself as strong, right? I don't need anybody. I'm strong and independent. But yet we are dependent on someone else if we need someone to come save us. These people who say they're strong and independent, the moment something bad happens, they call what? For help. And not saying that people don't or shouldn't ask for help. I'm just talking about the idea of doublethink. We have these thoughts in our mind and they conflict with each other. We are interdependent as people. We're a community. I've talked about community on the podcast again and again and again. Yet everyone thinks that they're these lone warriors, both men and women. We are not. We work better in a community type fashion. That's why marriage is a good thing. However, we turn marriage into a bad thing. It has become institutionalized. Now it's not until death do you part, it's until you don't feel like doing your part. If it's broke, why fix it? And then they worry about all of these things that are possible things that can happen. I'm not going to get in my car one day and say, "You know what? I hope I don't get in a car accident." That's a very pessimistic type of mindset. Yet these people who are in these relationships talk about cheating, talk about abuse, talk about sexual harassment and neglect. This is the type of mindset that people have when it comes to doublethink. They can see the good, they can see the bad. They try to live both at the same time, and it contradicts each other. They can't accept it. Even if they're living a certain life, they're always worried about what's around the corner. How can you truly enjoy life? The idea of doublethink stops you from enjoying life because you're always worried about what's going to come next or the next moment, because you can't be dumb and stupid at the same time. You have to figure out which one are you. A dumb person can learn. A stupid person is going to keep on making the same mistakes. We need to adjust how we're thinking. And this is going to be heart-wrenching for a lot of people because they have to accept responsibility. We're not just going to pass out awards and ribbons and stuff anymore. This is not about participation. This is about understanding what you can and what you can't do, and what you should and what you shouldn't do. Many people know that they shouldn't be doing drugs or drinking a copious amount of alcohol every single day, but they do. Should we say that if you keep on drinking, eventually you will stop? If you keep on doing drugs, eventually you'll become sober and you'll become clean. Okay, we can say that, right? There's a possibility that that will happen. But then at the same time, what are we doing about it? Doublethink stops us from taking action, directive action that should be taken. It is easy for me to say, you know what? Ignorance is bliss. It has always been done this way. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Guess what? I'm not having any action. And this is the issue with doublethink. Doublethink inhibits action. It inhibits a person from truly saying, I'm going to step forward and I'm going to make some changes. Doublethink is going to give you two thoughts that you believe are true. But yet those thoughts are going to say, well, you know, it doesn't work this way. It could be as silly as, you know what, I'm going to fly and I'm going to drive at the same time. Okay, well, I guess you can pilot the vehicle and say that's driving. I'm going to sleep and I'm also going to be awake at the same time. Okay, are you sleepwalking? As you can see, I'm giving these ridiculous examples because doublethink is ridiculous. In our mind today, we have a lot of these double-thinking thoughts from our politicians, how they promote laws and regulations, all the way to just how people want to live their life. Now, I'm not saying how you should or how you shouldn't live your life. You get to choose. But if you have contradicting thoughts and you are not giving yourself clear mindsets to separate what's going on, you are going to be operating in a sense of doublethink. Think of it as you have to dig two holes. And let's say you dig one hole. Great job, right? But then as you're digging another hole, every bit of dirt that you are digging is going into the hole that you just dug. That's doublethink. You are always working back and forth. It's like teeter-tottering, or you're like on a seesaw. We're not making much progress. So doublethink stops progress. It stops our ability to make true change in our life. And we have to ask ourselves, is that what we truly want? Most people, they want good in their life, but yet they don't do the things that are going to make their life good. Maybe it be going to the gym. Maybe it be investing in their retirement, in their future, whatever it be, having a family. Everyone is putting off their goals and their dreams until a later date because they're giving themselves this idea. I have time. I can do it. I can do everything. I can have a career and I can have a family. And you could. I'm not saying you can't. People do it all the time. But which one is going to be your focus? Initially, you might focus on career. But then you go into family. And now you have to juggle the two. Which one suffers the most? Sometimes you're able to juggle, right? We are in a situation, or a lot of people are in situations, may I say, that they have to have a two-parent working household. But then you even have the aspect of a single-parent household that's running rampant in our culture and in our nation also, where you have one income coming in, trying to make ends meet. And you're trying to juggle all of these hats. And I'm not saying that you can't do it, but it becomes difficult to do it. Can you have war and peace at the same time? Of course, look at Ukraine. There is war going on. There's men and women dying. And yet, if you go to certain places in Ukraine, they're partying it up. They're living the best life of their life. They're drinking, they're dancing, they're celebrating. In a sense, the country is at war, but there's going to be areas of peace. And in our mind, we can focus on areas of war. And then we can also give ourselves moments of peace. Yet, when we fight for it, there's repercussions. Because now we're thinking, in a sense, I'm doing this for peace, versus what I have done serves no repercussion to what I have done, because I'm only looking at the result, which is peace. But that peace that you gain in war is going to lead to someone else's dismay. Maybe their death, maybe their bad lifestyles or whatever it be. Israel's bombing continually. You can look at the videos of all the bodies of children. They didn't ask for that. You can see all the homes that were once built and then see another picture after the bombings have occurred. And the bombings, just leave everything in rubble. There's no more home there. Yet one side is going to say, this war is going to bring us peace. And then maybe one side is going to be, this war is not bringing us peace. It's one-sided. It's going to be individual based. What is your doublethink? Some people might say that, I can be strong and I can be independent. Okay? That could be your doublethink. Then we go into the reality aspect. How long can that be? I can do everything by myself. I don't need anybody. Well, a war is typically not fought alone. You're trying to get peace. Typically peace, we think about ourselves being at peace. Maybe a community, a country, right? We are at peace here in America. Yet, there are so many people getting hurt from drugs, from alcohol, from people not having the best intentions for somebody else. And we need to make a change. And doublethink is going to be the beginning of that change. So in closing, doublethink, a warning in today's world, is going to be a concept that is going to be talking about how our mind can be easily manipulated to see two things that are seemingly good but are not possible to happen at the same time. So it is almost like a maze that we're trying to navigate through. And for many people, they get lost because both ideals are so great. Think of it as, I want to eat some cake, but I also want to be fit. But I only want to eat cake every single day for my whole entire life. Cake and pizza and ice cream and milkshakes, and that's all I want to eat. But you also want to be fit. How can those two things happen at the same time? Now, of course, you can have a great metabolism. Now, you can focus on some of the things that you are supposed to be doing in your day. But the reality is, it's going to be a lot more difficult to maintain the physique, the body that you want, because you're doing things that are harming you. And in a sense, when we have these ideas that harm us, maybe not intentionally, because we don't typically want to harm ourselves always intentionally. We want to have a good time when we go drink, right? You go drink with your friends, you want to party, you want to dance. But those things can bring you down. Sometimes we have to focus on the things that are going to uplift us, things that are going to bring us forward, things that are going to create abundance in our life. But yet many people, they get stuck somewhere in their thinking because we have those limited mindsets that we were given. We have to adjust them. We have to make some changes. And for the people who choose to make the changes, for the people who get to see what is real in their life and then get out of the delusion, and then for them to realize that what they do or what they would like to do cannot contradict with all the possibilities and all the variables that they get to make a choice in. Because, like I said, you can choose to eat healthy, you can choose to eat bad, but there's going to be consequences for eating bad or drinking or doing a lot of drugs long term. And it doesn't even have to be that extreme. We can hate a person, a culture, a mindset, and we can think that's going to bring us peace, when in reality, it brings us dismay. It gives us unrest. It doesn't give us any peace. It doesn't give us any strength. We are back to where we started. We are continually running around in a circle. We are hamsters on the wheel when we're thinking doublethink. We think we're making progress because we have the movement, we have the momentum, we're doing good stuff, we think. But it's not leading us to the life that we want. So much to think about in doublethink. I encourage everyone to read this article. It's going to give so much more insight. This was just an introduction into doublethink. We have so many great episodes coming up on the podcast. I encourage everyone to stay tuned for those. We're going to be having group episode come out shortly. I mean, a lot of good things here at Reven Concepts and here in Coaching in Session. And as we begin to wrap up, I just wanted to let everyone know, If you're struggling with any part of your mindset, feel free to reach out to us here at Reven Concepts. We'll be more than happy to help you along the way. There are so many people in the world who are struggling, who are trying to make a change in their life. And if you are one of those individuals, do not hesitate to get some help. Because again, we are in this life together. We're all on the same ship. So we should enjoy the sail. And if you are not enjoying your life currently right now, begin to make the change, begin to implement something into your life like coaching that's going to help get you to the mindset, to the life that you truly want to live. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. And I'll see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.